Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to another recording of Hand of Fate 2. So, just as I was about to start another recording, my whole computer locked up, and this would be the second time where this game, right when it is seemingly saving, it is caused either a crash or a lockup. I have to kind of blame the game. I did go into my settings of my computer and change some settings, so maybe I've underclocked some things. But yeah, there's really just not anything that is that highly demanding on this game to determine this. Here, let's see if we're on the default preset of high now. If I click auto detect, will that change any setting at all? No. It does not seem like it did. And frankly, the game is locking up and crashing, or my computer is locking up and crashing at very odd times. Yeah. So I'm really blaming the game on this one, because this is even worse than what I've seen on other games where I've just seen little micro stutters or things like that.
I do not know what the usurper has done with my game. He will have improved it, I am sure, as I improved the game of my predecessor.
So at some point we may just be playing the usurper's game, Callus's game, and maybe the very last mission after the moon. So we tried death, and it's just 100% all about getting your max life as high as possible, and I just don't see actually achieving that
These
at this
pieces
moment.
come together in order to allow us a window into your past, the events that have led you here, your reason for being, and perhaps mine.
Okay. What we're looking for here are cards that would give us food. More than anything else. So if we can find anything that would give us food, that's great. I feel like this Forgotten Dreams is probably a card that you should always play. Upgrade equipment is something you probably should always play. Wandering Tracker I think is pretty good too. And then the Maiden as a platinum card. We've turned that into a platinum card. Is one we should always play. And that leaves us with like 4 cards left that we either should play one of these cards that doesn't have anything new to do about it, or we should just risk it. Gain max life is not terrible. Revealing the map is not terrible. I think in particular we're going to just constantly have to either do Market Thief or the Alchemist, so let's do Market Thief. And then as far as companion quests go, I don't think I actually have a companion quest left for the gnome character, so I'm picking him perhaps mistakenly. Yeah, we don't really have time. And see, I don't know if maybe that icon at the top of Hubie's quest I don't know if that means that maybe we shouldn't play him until we've unlocked some other encounter, because there is just no Hubie's quest. Okay, well, there. We'll move on with that. We're going to be fighting skeletons.
Like that one, don't you?
In this mission, so we want... Guess we could take things that say corrupted Just in case maybe we run into corrupted as we fight skeletons. And then anything, I guess, that just has used the weapon ability multiple times, I think, has a decent reason to be added. Yeah, unfortunately, it does kind of feel like you are going to end up with a situation here where you're going to, we definitely want this so we don't starve, because temperance is all about being low on food. Yeah, it feels like you're going to eventually just have the same items over and over and over again. Let's get rid of that one and take that one. All right. So to try and avoid that, we'll take extra food, and then we really haven't fought anything labeled as a shadow, so I almost wonder if shadows are a wider description than I think it is. Let's see. I kind of would like to take Ring of Preparation, but it's just never going to really be worth it. So I'm going to take Crossbow, and I think we could take Warrior's Axe. So the temperance is, here we didn't read the beginning here, during the worst famine in history of the Empire, an unnatural power is causing the dead to rise and stalk the land. Food storage, famine has made food scarce. Avoid starvation, and undead destroy the source of the undead. There we go.
The Empire works against.
Now I was just on that screen when I tried to start recording, and my computer completely locked up.
As long as they are fed. Yet take away their bread, and even the most peaceful begin to consider the songs of revolt.
And see, that's crazy. The computer. And this is a problem, I think, with Windows in general, is that there's supposed to be a whole Control-Alt-Delete task manager thing. And even that, I think, fails a lot of times. A lot of it probably is due to the fact that I have a wireless keyboard and mouse, so if I pulled out a plugged-in old-school PS2, not PlayStation 2, but parallel serial 2 connector keyboard, the old type of keyboard, or even a USB keyboard plugged directly in, that might actually work, whereas a wireless keyboard and mouse during a lockout may not work. I actually do have an old backup keyboard plugged into my computer. It's just I'd have to walk across the room, and by the time you're walking across the room you could hit the power button to turn it off, which that didn't work either. So there's a whole bunch of issues here.
Cultivate focus.
I definitely hope that, I've talked about the Steam Deck a lot in this series, but I definitely hope that we start to see SteamOS as an operating system becoming more and more prevalent, just to fix the completely unfixed, after decades, bugs that still plague Windows and just get worse with every new iteration. Well, that's unfair. They probably do get better, but or stay about the same. Anyways, let's stop whining and actually play the game. The innkeeper joins you at the table. You have information. The Reaper was paid up front by a halfling known as Garrick Drowkin. The price was apparently an entire cartload of gold. He made the contract and then left the city. So this is canonically, right after the death mission, even though I didn't finish the death mission, the Reaper tried to kill me and succeeded in killing me in that mission. Ask about Garrick. A mercenary, he was employed by the Imperial Army for several years until they wiped out the Halfling Kingdoms. Since then, he works for the highest bidder. Ask where Garrick might be found. He was last seen on the road to Bridgemore Village, a farming village in the outer provinces. The whole area is up in arms with this famine going on. If you want my advice, the innkeeper offers, you should leave the city. Forget this life of death and glory. Find peace in whatever far-off lands you can before your enemies catch up with you. Who knows what calamity will befall when they find out you're still alive. Alright, so we depart for Bridgemore Village. Okay. So I wonder if we were to just camp right now, first move, a weekend trader accepts your offer of a warm fire. He looks over his shoulder in the still of the night. I wonder if talking to Hubie here is how you get his reward coin. Apparently not. But it probably is smart just in every run to start with this way so you can see what is available for purchase. No food and 1 equipment. Right. And that doesn't cost any food or other resource to actually do.
The people need food, and they turn to you because their leaders have failed them. The land itself has failed them.
So we can only lose 10 villagers, so we're trying to save the villagers. I was hoping what we could do is skip some of these encounters to save food for ourselves, but if we're going to try and get gold, that seems like that is not the way this is going to play out. You're surrounded by hungry, armed villagers. A few push forward to confront you, with many more hanging back out of harm's way. Here we go. You must have something for us to eat. Every food you donate will feed 1 angry villager. Well, let's go the maximum and give 8 food to 8 angry villagers, which probably means I won't fight any of them, but I don't know if that means we're preventing 8 from dying or if we're just going to run into this encounter again. You hand out some food, a few villagers grab what they can and run off. Having dealt with those villagers who were most aggressive and desperate, the remaining mob reluctantly allows you to leave. You lose 8 food. And you get no special reward for doing that. So I'm immediately starving here. Let's see. Now what we would like to buy would be, say, Grifter's Companion for 20 or Gambler Hood for 28, but Ring of Food would be for 14. That's our best bet. So can we get to 14? Yes, if we sell this. But if I was going to sell something anyways, I should have just started with the gold shield and sold that for 50. Which is probably the strategy you should always have.
You should buy food. You can't, of course. Your ill planning shows itself in so many ways. No food and no money to buy it with.
Yeah, we're at 000 as far as food, gold, and fame.
The damage will persist unless you can find a meal to relieve yourself.
So all we can do this time is claim we have no food. You turn out your pockets revealing no food, the mob disappears slowly. Interesting. So same outcome, basically. Offer them gold. We can't do that. So let's try to sneak past the tower and see if we can get a roll.
Games within games within games.
You scaled the tower without incident. Look to the east and west and gain 2 fame. That reveals the maiden. Okay. Then you turn to the north and south and see nothing.
Hunger. It chews at you. This whole land is starving and you are left with only hard choices.
What's funny is the narration seems to be increasing in this very late third act mission compared to almost all the previous missions. You waken one night to the sound of rustling. There's nothing in here. You hear a small voice exclaim. With a start, you realize there's a group of children rifling through your bags. They must have something to eat. Another responds, a touch of desperation in her voice. As you get up to confront them, the children flee into the darkness empty-handed. Here we have our Platinum Maiden card. As you walk through the shady forest, you encounter a young maiden. She stops to greet you once again. For centuries I've helped mortals who find themselves lost in my forest. And now, with my strength and power returned, is there anything that may aid you in your journey? Ask for supplies. This should bring you great nourishment and sustain you for several days, she says, with a twinkle in her eye. So now we're back up to 8 food. And Winter Solstice does nothing for us because we didn't have a blessing. That was probably a poor card to pick.
Seek, but do not starve.
A moonlight journey. An uneasy silence fills the air on the moonlit night, prompting you to continue your journey without stopping to camp. This is no skeleton fights on the first level. Although you keep one hand on your weapon for the entire journey, nothing reveals itself as a threat. Okay. Up or down? Let's go down.
For better or for worse, the Northerners understand these lands better than most.
On one day you meet a Northerner displaced from a homestead by warfare. She explains she is a tracker working for those who can pay. She speaks at length at the nearby terrain. For 5 gold, she'll take you there. Instead, you can decline and have another location revealed. For 8 gold, do you want me to direct you there now? Decline. Again, and you get actual farther cards. So that just reveals 3 cards that we can now look at. There's a corpse wagon. There's hungry peasants. We kind of know the end is over here, so let's just do these bottom areas. I'd assume that this is
What
fighting
do you
skeletons.
think happens to the mind when one returns from death in this way? What happens to the heart?
One night you wake to the sound of a rusty wagon wheel passing on a nearby trail. Cautiously you sneak closer to observe the scene. A dredge of skeletons is slowly dragging a wagon full of corpses through the forest. They seem oblivious to your presence as they continue their journey. Let's follow them. After tedious hours trailing the macabre brand, you approach a hill far from any settlement. Atop the hill stands a stone circle marked with an eldritch runes. The skeletons drag their prize haul into the center. A sudden flash of blinding light forces you to look away. When your vision returns, the circle is empty apart from an abandoned wagon. Interesting. I was thinking that it would convert the corpses into skeletons, not that the skeletons would perhaps be teleported. we can't afford any of this. Nor can we afford any of this. So let's just move. Because even walking here is probably
Careful,
a waste of time.
the supplies are running low.
Yeah. So I could have just skipped these two events. And I really wouldn't have run into any different outcome. Except for I would have had 2 more food than what I have now.
The well-fed are unpredictable. The hungry always seek a meal, through force if necessary.
We can claim we have no food. There lying, a woman calls out from the back of the crowd. Fight your way through the people, try to push your way through. The crowd moves forward, tearing it close in packs. So paying cards. A lot of paying cards. Way more paying cards than I would have thought. It's like a paying card for every single person there. I mean, I may just straight up game over here at this rate. I definitely should have fought. On that thought.
Can you claim this token?
The market bazaar is a hive of activity traders from across the lands called the passerby selling whales. As the sun beats down on the crowded street, you pause briefly to draw water from a fountain. You feel a slight tug from the inside of your tunic. Turning quickly, you realize a pickpocket has attempted to rob you. Discovering you have nothing on you, the thief groans as they dart into the crowded street and out of sight. I wonder if this is how you get the reward. Nope. It isn't. So that was a bad card to have in the deck also.
Of course, in a world that has lost all of its wonder, violence, muscle, and brute strength still remain. So like the usurper in all its ways.
So we have a reward card here that's part of this mission called Thomas the Ogre. You are cautiously approached by on the trail by a group of farmers. Greetings, friends. One of them begins. Are you in need of supplies? The group explains that an evil ogre has stockpiled rations in his cave not far away. They intend to fight the creature to retrieve the goods to feed their families. Would you be willing to tag along for an equal share of the food? So either this is a trick in which I'm going to be fed to the ogre, or this is legitimate. We might as well accept, though. We have 10 health, no food. We're going to die in the next move anyways. Excuse me. You set out once for the ogre's lair. Along the way, they explain exactly what sort of beast is awaiting you. It ate my neighbor's dog right there in front of him. Little Joseph was collecting firewood when the great hairy beast plucked his dog off the ground and swallowed him with one bite. Let's listen to more stories. It's huge and nasty, the taller farmer says. My cousin saw it eat 5 live chickens in a single bite as it was stealing his cows. Well, it seems like the ogre is going out of his way not to eat humans. It knocked down poor Chester's pie wagon right over with a single swipe of his mighty paw. He lost his entire day's supplies in an instant. Cassius the baker told me that it broke into his shop last month looking for food. It set the whole place on fire while raiding the oven. Ask whether any of them have actually seen the ogre. Sounds like he doesn't have food at this rate. The group suddenly quiet as they exchange glasses. No, one of them offers, but my Aunt Maddie swears that it ate all the radishes in her garden. The monster's lair is just up ahead, one of the farmers comments sometime later. It is now, a deep voice inquires. Is it now? Inquires a deep voice as the monster in question strolls into view. The speechless farmers hastily retreat as the ogre stops and inspects you. My name is Thomas. This is my domain. What business have you here? Well, he's willing to talk, so we should talk. Let's demand that he return the stolen food. I have stolen no goods from these humans. What food I possess I earned from my own hands in this forest. Your desperation does not give you the right to take what is rightfully mine. Farmers manage to find their voices, throwing all manner of accusations at Thomas, who merely shakes his head in response. Believe what you will, warrior, but know that I will defend my home. He lifts his weapon purposefully, saying, I may be more reasonable than most of my kin, but thought without action is pointless after all. Alright, so let's go ahead and refuse to fight and see if that gets us a reward before we starve to death. What, the farmers cry incredulously. Are you siding with this hulking monster? Despite their outrage and frustration, the farmers can do little but give up and return home. A reasonable human, Thomas comments, turning to you. You are indeed a rare beast. He gestures to a waterfall behind him. My dwelling lies beyond the waterfall. Would you care to join me for a game? I have few visitors of intellectual caliber. I may have a magical trinket. I'd be willing to bet against you just to make things interesting. Let's go ahead and accept. Okay. Let's look at our inventory as far as, do we have anything equipped that would increase our odds at all? No. So, you follow the ogre back to his lair and sit at a stone table opposite him. What takes your interest today? Cards, dice? A game of manual dexterity. Manual dexterity probably is the swing. The dice is what I think I would pick here. We probably have to do this and play each of the card games to get a reward, but let's go with dice. 14's not impossible. Of course, getting 3 skulls seems achievement worthy.
Victory, you are learning.
You play the game well. I will have to do better in future, Thomas admonishes himself. He reaches beyond the table and lifts an item, saying, would this be of any use to you?
Well done.
So we have the Gambler's Jewel, which, yes, that is nice and all. Perhaps another game. Sure, let's go ahead and just play all the card games. Perhaps I've grown lax from sitting in the forest by myself for too long, Thomas grumbles. Here, do any of these interest you? Thomas puts some items on the table for you to inspect. Alright, pious robes. Will instead reduce my max life instead of starving. I don't have enough fame to use it, though. Perhaps another game. I've not played many games against humans, mostly they try to kill me. Luckily for me, the fairy folk are far more civilized. Play a game of manual dexterity. Okay, this is
The pendulum swings like a scythe,
pretty easy.
bearing hope or failure.
Again, Thomas suddenly yells, slamming his hand against the stone table. Do you think me a fool? You must be cheating. I just got an achievement called Gambler. Win all 3 games against Thomas in a single encounter attempt. Get out, you scoundrel, and tell those idiot friends of yours that if I see any of them in my forest again, I might just have you all for dinner, literally. So we didn't get a reward for getting that 3rd win. I should have blown it, I suppose. Although I guess it doesn't matter one way or the other. And we
The damage taken from starvation is more than the healing delivered by eating. As with many things, we find ourselves sliding further and further into hardship. Poverty and lack of fame can make life miserable, but a lack of food leaves us dead.
Well, we did get 1 reward here and we learned some things. For beating Thomas the Ogre, we have a Gladiator's Visage unlocked.
There are still many who can be saved.
So we just need to make, I think, some slight changes to the encounters. This isn't going to be helpful. This is unlikely 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 to be helpful. So we need to seek out other things. And I guess what this really is just going to come down to is we need events that absolutely will give you food or will give you gold. Which this is a gain gold always card. It's just, do you gain a little gold or do you gain a lot of gold? So we should probably just play it. And then gain food. So what is highlighted in the blue is an indicator, I imagine, of what you would be recommended. As far as if you just press the recommended button. Do I want to do one drunken night to get food over something else? See, they still have this problem with too many of these cards having rewards on them, so you're playing the wrong cards instead of playing what you should be playing. And then we have just one new piece of equipment that we should see here. That we don't know what that would do. So we'll toss that and add that. And if I'm gonna sell something, we should just like inspect what the value of things are. It's a shame you can't just press right and left on the controls here to swipe between weapons. Yeah, I guess you don't start with a gold shield. Or at least you don't always start with it. So that's 8. That's 9. That's 8. That's 8. That's 8. That's 8. That's 10. That's 8. And that's unsellable. So you should take this, if you're going to sell anything, to sell the medium armor. Of course, if something is worth 10, you could also just take 10 gold. So that's not really helping you that much. So we'll try this again. We'll try and play fast and see if we can get all the way through Temperance in this episode. Probably not going to happen.
kingdoms of death were once pledged to my throne. The usurper cares not for our old suits, however. He has driven the deathless from his lands.
Draw 1 food gain after any combat, which you take less than 15 damage. Interesting. Can we get to 28 to afford that item? Unfortunately, I don't think there's any way you could really do that. I could only get to 19 at most. I'm gonna take this sword and not equip it. I don't know how I ended up getting a sword by just listening to rumors, but whatever. 1 food for 6 gold is still really expensive. Lose 3 food.
I'm not a vain man. You must appreciate that this game, has been my focus for more years than I can count. I have a certain pride regarding its twists.
It says that one line of dialogue way too often. The friends get away with 3 of your food, leaving you shaking your fist in rage. The fiends. So, I guess if I had succeeded there, I would have gotten my food back. Let's see. Let's go ahead and claim we have no food. And then fight our way through the people. I can smell apples. One of the man shells. Hand them over. So I thought you were going to end up fighting skeletons in this fight, in this mission, but it really seems like you're going to end up just fighting peasants. But here's the problem. Also, if I kill 8 of these and I can only kill 10 in total, that seems like that's gonna really suck. You know the land is in peril when those who do not fight, fight. Rabble. Okay. So I wonder if there's a way to possibly convince some of these to flee. Well, it seems like a couple of them decided to flee, so I wonder if maybe if you then would maybe just stretch out those fights as long as possible and avoid taking damage. Maybe that would work. The remaining peasants back away, beaten and exhausted. For but a few scraps of food, you could have spared those men's lives. You continue your journey, leaving 6 bodies to the crows. For killing peasants, you failed to win the gold token. So, if you want the gold token here, you really are going to have to take a lot of damage yourself or have a lot of food on you. Now, did I really lose the gold token there? It doesn't seem like I did. It seems like I have 4 more villagers I could kill, or 3 more. On closer inspection, you recognize the eye patch of one particular skeleton. It belongs to a hungry peasant who fell to your sword. There's no time to speculate how the slaughtered farmer came to be animated by dark magic. The monster approaches, weapons ready. Okay. So you only fight skeletons in this scenario if you kill the soldiers yourself, the peasants yourself, it seems. Alright, we will take the ring of food. You leave the broken bones of peasants scattered across the field and continue your journey. Let's see what this does. An uneasy sounds. Okay. So we could just skip this entire encounter. What would be the benefit of doing that, though? The next encounter would just be... I mean... maybe that is the move. Since so many of these encounters are bad, and let's just play strategically and leave. Although you keep one hand on your weapons the entire journey, nothing reveals itself as a threat. And we're just at the next encounter. If the goal is to not kill villagers and go to Bridgemore Village, seems like we can pull that off.
In my time, everything was in its place. The supposed empire holds its borders like a drunkard holds a thoroughbred.
So we have the wandering tracker here. She can show me where a... what does that say? Corpse wagon is. We'll decline going there. She can show me where hungry peasants are. We will, I think, accept going there just to see if this gets us the shard. You pay the gold and you're briskly there. We have no food, so we don't have to fight him. Okay. So it does seem to me like to get the shard from the other character, from the surveyor, you would need something more. We could sell this and we could sell this. This is more valuable, so sell this this one. And that gets us to 10, which probably means we can't buy anything other than a shield, which we really wouldn't use. So we could maybe buy some food. And let's see if this just moves forward. Ask for supplies. That gets us some more food. One night you wake to the sound of a rusty wagon wheel passing on a nearby trail. Cautiously you sneak to observe the scene. A drudge of skeletons is dragging a wagon full of corpses through the forest. We tried to follow them before and nothing happened, so I think the move is either to follow them and see if something randomly occurs there, or attack them and have an encounter. Let's attack them just to see what happens. They turn as one to meet your challenge. It's not like skeletons are very deadly. Unfortunately, you just don't start off with that grenade that would have the special ability. And there was like 4 skeletons and they all regenerated, but that really wasn't that much of a challenge. That gives us 2 fame, which you do need some level of fame in this game to equip some equipment. You hope your efforts will allow a few souls to rest in peace rather than share the fate of those bones you just vanquished. Yeah, no real reward from that. So we journey forward and don't have to fight skeletons again. Okay. If anything is going to be Bridgemore Village, it is going to be this one here. Alright. So what event would we like to do again? We don't have enough food for the Fall of the Gnome, so doing the Maiden again makes a lot of sense. Can we get lucky? No, but we did add friendly encounter. Or friendly innkeeper, which is not bad. Can't afford any food. Can ask about lodging. And we can just leave. Okay, well, whatever. Let's go left. Again, we have no food. So we're not killing anybody.
She smells death upon you. Death promised but not delivered. Death whose time has been delayed.
So, we failed the gold coin at this point, so we had failed as soon as we killed 6 villagers. Which, unlike the other missions, this does feel like you could have actually gotten gold here. All I would have had to do is just taken a lot of damage in that first encounter and just avoided encounters. Although, in fairness, I also have skipped a lot of encounters in this mission, and I think that's probably the case as to how to get gold for a lot of these missions or challenges or whatever they're called, is that you are supposed to not try to do everything and instead just try to rush to the end. So yeah, unless I just fail here in this fight, I think we're good. The sky is unnaturally dark as you approach the ruined graveyard. A cloaked figure stands amid the crumbling tombstones. Despite your stealthy approach, it turns to watch your arrival. For killing some hungry peasants on your journey, you have failed to win the gold token. And this is the Inn of Necromancer, I guess, or the Inn of Skulls. The living have no place here. She rasps the breath, leaving her body with some effort. Though you will make a fine source material for another minion, she raises her staff and the undead rise from the ground. Yeah. There was that little stutter as it loads in the visuals once again. So none of my tweaks on the bio settings really did change everything. Countess Anthancia. This necromancer turns the dead into tools of chaos and slaughter. Use bash to break through her gruesome armor. We are still very consistently seeing a unequal number of female characters, with every female character being kind of unique and special as far as when they are revealed. They are the Countess, they are highly skilled named characters, They aren't just a generic minion like the male characters or the skeletons or the gnomes and the monster characters that all present as more male looking. Although a skeleton in fairness would be hard to present as female looking unless you're just going to actively try and make them shorter with wider hips, bone structure, or something like that. If you look at the skulls hanging from her staff, they are spinning in a very random way with no physics actually applied to them, so they are just clipping completely through the center wooden staff part there. And she is nothing. And with her falling down, that left only 2 skeletons to defeat her. That was just a perfect fight, no hits taken, super fast. Smoking ash is all that remains of the necromancer as you inspect the contents of the crypts. There you find letters written and signed with the Emperor's seal, each one calling for your death. What have you done to earn the Emperor's wrath? As if in answer, the voice of the hermit rings in your ears. It's not what you have done, but what you are yet to do. A powerful force presses against you, and every move takes you closer to the end of the game. You have few friends now. So we weren't able to use Hubie's encounter. Like, I still have no idea how you would unlock Hubie's encounter to get that reward. And we didn't actually finish the hermit mission, so this dialogue that's being spoken I don't think I ever heard. I guess we went to Bridgemore Village at the end there? Maybe we didn't, but maybe it didn't seem like it matters. It still gets us the silver coin.
This is what we seek to eradicate. These creeping horrors that stretch across our land.
For killing the necromancer, we have the wretched, Thomas the Ogre, and a mystery chest card. We also have Sunier's Talons, Thornshell, and the Ring of Defense. Which the Ring of Defense might be a very useful item to potentially go back and try and do strength. If we were going to try and do that. Let's see. Which one was the hermit? Well, the hermit was one we did and got gold with. It was just so long ago that if he did say something, I've forgotten it. So we got that challenge completed, but we don't have enough companions to do devil, so we're gonna just have to either do tower or figure out how to unlock companions. And the moon says just complete more challenges to unlock, which makes me suspect that there's
You bring me word of the world
something
outside.
more.
Good. Let us see what the cards tell us of the time that precedes us.
I imagine we have to do all the missions before we can do moon. So we need to complete strength to unlock. And so let's see if we can do strength. Right. So this was our layout of strength before, although weirdly it's an unfinished layout. It seems like now you can have 13 encounters and there was no companion chosen. Stealing half the ancient relic from Ogre has left you dying and cursed. You have a grievous wound starting with 10 life. Eating food does not heal. Dragnar the Mighty, a high defense will help reduce damage from the Ogre's devastating onslaught. And then there will be dice. Okay. So if there will be dice, the suggestion to take this makes a lot of sense. Alright. Actually, let's just do the recommended clear and fill and see what they recommend. Nah, they are way wrong in this case on that. And then dice rolls that you might succeed at also require you to either lose gold or food for that to work. So I don't think that's right either. Yeah, they are really just suggesting some pretty terrible choices here. Gaining resources is not going to be helpful. And Thomas the Ogre could give us food and equipment, or fight an ogre with gambles. We don't know what that would do. Yeah. I would lean towards thinking Thomas the Ogre is not the right move. Let's see, now if we need this one, we would have to start with a blessing. So what we should do is take this and then start with a blessing, and that's probably a dumb move, but it's a thought at least. Then guess you maybe take that if we have nothing better. Gain food, trade blessing or curse. We'll take that. Gain life. This card is still, I think, very useful. Gain max life by trading a blessing. We'll take that. Then gain life / trade life. A fiend in need. Trying my very best here to pick the right choices. We apparently got the shard from doing this. I don't remember doing that. So what we're trying to lean on here more than anything is to have cards that would just gain life. But weirdly, there should be like some new cards here, like the Wretched, that we shouldn't know what they do, and yet we totally know what they do. I guess we just saw all the encounters in that playthrough. So this is still probably not a great choice. Let's see what. Draw 1 food gain after combat. That takes less time. Eating less as a card's probably not that useful. You still really just want a bunch of items. There's a couple new cards that we definitely would want also. Then if we know there are going to be dice rolls, what we want. is this card. And where's the, do we already have the other ring? Let's see, what can we otherwise get rid of? Just doesn't seem like we would ever actually fight 12 mages. We definitely wouldn't in this case. Where's the ring that lets you get +2 to your gambling? It must be in this. Here it is, Gambler's Jewel. So that was already one set. And then it's just going to be Healing Spirits +5 max life and leather armor. And I don't know if we really need +5 max life here. So I'm going to take the blessing here. So that has put us in a different position. And the hope at this point is that since we've gone so far ahead and done so many other challenges, that we've learned how to play the game a lot better. And we've unlocked a lot more encounters and equipment and supplies that would make strength actually doable. So next episode we'll try this. We'll try and play this pretty fast, and we'll see what happens. If I fail in the next episode, I might just play this mission off screen, or even try and look up a walkthrough to give me better strategy. It really would be closer to a strategy guide than a walkthrough, because everything's so randomized. But it definitely seems like we need to get strength done. Otherwise we're just going to do tower, and then it's going to complain that we haven't done the devil card, which is almost certainly the one challenge we need to do before we could do the moon. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and keep on watching. Thanks.